I've got a lot. I always got a lot going on, but we've got some really cool stuff going on. Um, we actually have a free tool that we're giving away today. Um, I think it's a pretty good tool. I spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time working on it, so I think it's going to be good. I definitely think it's going to be useful. Um, just another way to reach that goal of helping empaths get free. I truly believe that empaths are definitely the chosen ones. I definitely think that empaths, when they go through this narcissistic abuse thing, that it has the potential to break us. I mean, it breaks us emotionally while we're in it. That definitely happens. Yeah. So that's what we're kind of talking about today. We're talking about not only breaking free, because many of you have reached that point where you're at that stage of enough is um, where you're getting tired of trying to figure it out, where you're getting make this person understand that they are hurting you on all levels, emotionally, sometimes physically. It's just a lot of pain. It's a lot of unnecessary pain. And today we're going to be giving away the Trauma Bond Self Check resource that's going to help people actually decide, like, am I in this, or just did I just link up with this toxic individual? I want to thank all you guys for joining. So the easiest way is to send me an email, and after this live, I'll send each and every one of you the Trauma Bond Self Check. So this way you can see if what you're experiencing, because I know for a fact that, hey Divine, how you doing? I know for a fact that many of you are still on that stage of thank you for the heart me. I know many of you are still at that stage of just trying to figure it out, because honestly it doesn't make sense. I know for a fact it doesn't make sense. So I'm going to put my services bio, which will actually have my email, and just shoot me an email and put the word clarity in the subject line. And after this live, I'll send you that resource. Excuse me. Again, it's called the Trauma Bond Self Check resource. I spent a lot of time when I should have been resting. I was sitting up there. Oh, thank you for the rose, Divine. I appreciate you, and thank you all for joining. I'm going to tell you guys. If you feel that you are in the trauma, I think last week we did a lot of education. We did a whole lot of education. We went over the DSM-5 for NPD. We talked about the 5 different types of narcissists and how they're like transformers and they combine. So sometimes that will leave many people in a state of confusion, because just when they're starting to figure it out, they're like, oh, I've got a covert narcissist, or I've got, communal narcissist, or I've got a malignant narcissist. And then all of a sudden they switch gears and you're like, well, maybe they're not a narcissist. Well, like I said, the different, I'm not going to say flavors, but the different archetypes of narcissists are somewhat interchangeable. It all depends on their need to protect the mask. Um, so, with that being said, let me just say this one more time. The free resource, the Trauma Bond Self Check resource, just send me an email. My email should be in my service bio, or I believe it's like on my page. But it should be there. All you have to do, you don't have to do a whole lot of typing. Just put clarity in the subject. I will know. And after this live, I will send you guys this resource. It's pretty cool. I think I got up, like, I just couldn't get any sleep. I was like up at 2:30 because I kept on thinking about how I was going to position this, setting 100 empaths free, breaking 100 empaths from the trauma bond, helping 100 empaths literally reclaim their identity, because we have found that that is one of the major things that we lose in these dynamics. And again, and I'm going to say this over and over, it is done on purpose. And I need to say this over and over because many people are just thinking that, oh, it's a psychological disorder. They're not doing this on purpose. No, they are. They are planning this out every moment of the day that they're taking in oxygen. Once they feel that they have you as the empath trapped, they're going to go out of their way to destroy not only your identity, because by destroying your identity, that allows them to be you without the competition. So always remember, narcissists have what mental health professionals call fragmented or fragmented identity, meaning their identity is not true. They are never authentic. They are literally built off of pieces that they have stolen from their victims, people that they have come in contact with, just to fortify and build up the mass. Now, hey Militia, what's up? How you doing? And Divine says yes, without a doubt. Guys, if you have questions about the trauma bond, this is a good place to put them. Again, we are always resolution driven here. That hence the reason why we're this weekend we want to free 100 empaths from the trauma bond. So with that being said, we're not going to just go over the problem. We know what the problem is. We know the three stages of narcissistic abuse is. We know how horrible it feels to be in the discard, the devaluation stage. But we need to get back to being ourselves, because throughout your life, you have known, you have felt that there is something special inside of you. Many people don't even adhere to the purpose thing at first, but they know that they're here for a reason. They know that due to the way that they view the world, that they want to help. Thank you, Divine. Thank you so much. Thank you for the Go Popular. You know, so yeah, we want to try to figure that out, and I think that begins the journey of the empath. But here they come to ruin the day, the narcissist. They sense the empath in you. They sense that you're destined to do something great. And this is the crazy part. Sometimes we do not know what it is that we've been placed here by our higher power of the universe, whatever keeps you positive. We have been placed here with a task. It's kind of mind boggling, but I always give these numbers. The chances of you being here as that unique individual is 4 trillion to 1. And we don't really, I mean, go look it up, but we don't really think about that too much. But there's this driving thing inside of empaths where we want to do something. We want to do something for the world, not for ourselves. Sometimes we attach it to, I'm going to leave my mark. You know, I want to be a part of the positive history. Sometimes we break it down. I just want to do this for my kids. I want my kids. That's one of the things that I've been saying for like the last 10 years on social media. I'm not doing this for me. You see all this gray? It's done, son. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this because I want the world to be a better place for my children. Um, and the narcissist takes us off of that path, and they do it on purpose. I think yesterday we talked a lot about. Thank you, Chastity, for the likes. I appreciate you, and thank you for joining. We talked about this a lot. This is essentially spiritual warfare. This is, I think that's what kind of woke me up last night because I started thinking about that over and over as did I present that right? Did I rub somebody the wrong way because maybe their belief is different? But I think to be an empath has no there's no religion really attached to that. And I think being chosen and realizing that you have a greater purpose for the good of humanity, I don't think that should rub anybody the wrong way. I think at some point we've got to start to embrace that. We've got to embrace the greatness inside of us. And if you're in the trauma bond, that's next to impossible. That is, your mind is all over the place. You're thinking about so many different things that has nothing to do with your greatness because you're trying to get this demon out of your head. And I speak from experience. I speak from knowing. Thank you, Bentley, for joining, and thank you for sticking around. And just for you is here, thank you. And Acts 2:38, thank you guys for joining. I appreciate you. Um, but yeah, this is a good place for you guys to ask your questions. Again, we are about what the Now Movement stands for. No other way but forward. We're not going to sit up here in anguish over what the narcissist did to us. We're not going to anguish on the fact that we got entrapped with a demon. We are going to look forward. Our goal, the goal from this moment forward, if you're watching this live, whether it be on FB, whether it be on YT or right here on TikTok, our goal moving forward is to reclaim our identity. The very thing that the narcissist tried to take from us, the very thing that the narcissist tried to steal from us, our identity. But I'm going to tell you something. Once you heal, once you make that decision that, hey, listen, I'm done with this. This person is no longer living rent free in my head. They've got to go. I've got to work on me. I often tell people this: before you met the narcissist, let's just take a little trip down memory lane. Before you met the narcissist, how would you have judged your life? Was it chaotic? Or was it stable with a couple of speed bumps along the way? Things that you were figuring out. Do you think that maybe you were beginning to understand that you do have a purpose? Maybe you were starting to live within that purpose? And when did the disruptions begin? I'm going to vote. I'm going to guarantee. If I was a gambling man, I'm going to guarantee it was after this person inserted themselves into your life. And it's almost like, I got to always make a story. It's almost like there's a store in New York, I think it closed down, called Conway's. If you were going on an interview and you needed a new white shirt, you would go to Conway's. You get the shirt for like super cheap. But you knew that that shirt was going to start to unravel. If you tried to get 2 or 3 wears out of it, you'd look down and you see strings and you'd start pulling it, and it would just keep on going until like maybe that piece, maybe the cuff came off or something, then you throw it in the garbage. I think that's what happened with the narcissist after the love bombing stage. You started to unravel. You became emotionally unstable, or emotionally unsafe would be a better term. Devon says, when I met him, I had a lot going on for myself, was doing well. I think most of us can attest to that. Before we met the narcissist, I mean, when I look back at my experience, like I said, I've gone through 3 of them. Okay. It's just that the last one was like the top tier boss and had been practicing what they did for decades. And I'm not going to say they were good at it, but they were super evil at it. When I look back at my life, I was happy. I was pleased. My accomplishments. I had started, you know, picking up projects. I was booking shoots. Oh my goodness, I was so goal orientated. I think my life was based off of this invisible bucket list where I would wake up in the morning and say, I've never done this. This is what I want to do. And I would make it happen, almost like real talk, no other way. That was a good feeling to get back to that version of myself that had disappeared for almost a decade. And I told this the other day. I was literally giddy with excitement. I was like, I'm back. This was the final lap. I have overcome. It's not about winning against them. You won from the beginning. Believe it or not, you were the winner. So, I never look at it. I guess that's my mindset. I never look at it like I beat them. I overcame them. I won. No, I reclaimed myself. I reclaimed my identity. I reclaimed the person that I am. Deep down inside, my authentic self. Being authentic, the one thing that the narcissist can never embody. They can never say, "Oh yeah, I'm authentic." I'm in. Hey, Regina and Tom, thank you for joining. I appreciate you. You know, we've got to get back there. We've got to get back there. And I think the more that we the more that we internalize the pain, the more that we make the pain literally like a sticky note inside of our nervous system. I think what we're doing is, thank you for the follow, Charlene Greenwood. I appreciate you. I'll follow you right after. And guys, remember, I'm going to put this up often. My service bio should have my email address. Let me pin this up right here. If you're on YT, my you can just put it in the comments, and I will get back to you at the end of this live and go ahead and send you the Trauma Bond self-check resource. Clarity is key here. I think that's why I make my courses. I think that's why I made the system, is because I came to understand very quickly that clarity is the key. It doesn't move, nothing moves forward until you're clear, until you have a clear idea of what you're dealing with. So part of what I did in the wee hours of the morning was I created the Trauma Bond self-check. Because I get it, you're being gaslit. You know that there's something wrong with your nervous system, and you know the narcissist is again renting space in your head, and you're listening to all those things that they said to you throughout that situation. Shit, you're too sensitive, you're too emotional, you're imagining all of this. What if you aren't imagining it? What if the reason why you feel the way you do is because literally you're not imagining it? Maybe your nervous system is sending you out an SOS, but because you've been conditioned throughout the situationship, since you've come to believe your abuser, based on what? Let's back it up for a second. Based on what? Because you actually love this person. Think about that for a second. Your reality is skewed. Your nervous system is definitely screwed up. Your grasp on your emotions is done. And why? For what reason? Did you do anything wrong? No, you did the most human thing possible. You invested the parts of you that you don't show on a regular basis to the rest of the world. You invested that in a demon. And that screws with your head. And then, now that you know this, now that you walked out the door, now that you found what you think to be a safe space, you don't feel safe. And I'm not talking about on physicality. You just don't feel safe, emotionally safe. You don't trust other people, much less yourself. Again, what if I told you this was done on purpose? What if I told you for the narcissist, this was the plan all along? What if I told you that you can make this ride stop? This is the ride that you got on. It looks so fun. You watch people getting off, coming out the gate, and you're like, yeah, that's fun. And then you get on and you're like, this ain't for me. I've got to get off. And that's what many empaths are trying to do. They're trying to exit this ride, or as I like to call it, the ish show. Hey, now, Castic, thank you for joining. I appreciate you. You're trying to exit the ish show. You've had enough. You can't take anymore. And if it wasn't for the fact that you're an empath, I don't think just a non-empath person, a regular human being, could have survived what you went through. There are some people that just can't take it, and they leave us. They exit this reality due to another person. And I'll tell you something, that person doesn't care. This is just, to them, it's like, okay, yep, my mask is intact. They're never telling anybody what I did to them. They're not telling anybody who I am. This is the mindset of the narcissist. They want you gone. After they have drained you of everything that they can, just like a virus. After a virus has drained you, the virus is not going to say, you know what, you're done. You're done. You know, I'm going to go in the dirt with you. I'm just going to end it right here. No, the virus gets up and goes and finds another victim, another empath, another one of the chosen. So yeah, we've got to find a way out of this. We have to find a way out of this, because if we don't, Divine says we could have been anybody. It's not even personal. Yeah, they hate everyone. Yeah, I tell this story often. While I was in the love bombing stage, I made up this phrase that I used to say to them all the time: forever in 2 days. If I only knew. That's what the love bombing stage does to you. You literally think that you found your soulmate. Even as I say it right now, forever in 2 days, the first thing that comes to my mind is, again, because they have an emoji demon in my mind. Every time I say it, you know, I'm like, they definitely didn't deserve that. They never earned that. I was basically promising myself forever in 2 days, because that's what I was looking at. I had been tricked to fall in love with myself. This is what we do as empaths. This is what we literally took this person on as a project. Because during the love bombing stage, we wanted to give everything to them. As Divine said, in your mind, y'all could have been anything. But let's look at the reality. How much work did you put into it? And how much work did they put into it? Let's be honest here. Hey, Mina, thank you so much for the roses. I appreciate you. How much? Let's think about it. When I said forever in 2 days, for a while, I stuck to that until I saw through the mask. In fact, when the mask started to crack, I was still holding on to that, because that's who I wanted back. The person that I said forever in 2 days. And that's, as Prince would say, that's a mighty long time. But near the end, once the mask started to crack, I was like, oh my God, how could I? This is a demon. Why would I want to stay attached to a demon for forever in 2 days? You're better than that. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm not angry. I am not angry at all. I've come to accept the fact that, hey, this is the reason why you went through 3 of them, buddy, because the first 2, you just wasn't getting the hint. In a sense, I feel this is my purpose. Getting people free from this so that they don't have to experience this, or not to the depths or the intensity that I felt that I experienced it. I'm going to be honest with you. Thank you for the share, Regina. Mina says, oh my God, the same. Yes. I mean, literally, you are so in love with yourself, and you don't think it's yourself. You think it's this demon in front of you. You're in love with yourself, and you would do anything for yourself, and you want to take over the world. You want to do that. You want to be successful. But this person is doing nothing. How much effort did they put into not even saving the relationship? That should be first and foremost. That should be the first thing, that 2 adults that say that they love you, that's the first thing. The relationship is going sideways. I don't like the course that we're on. Can we sit down? Can we discuss this? Can we try to figure out a way to bring this back on course? For the narcissist, it's on course. It's exactly where they want it. They want you confused. That's why when you bring up stuff like this, and I know each and every one of us has done this, can we talk about this? I feel like something's wrong. Can we talk about this? What are you met with? Oh, there you go. You're just going to ruin this moment. We're just having a good day. Or, you know what? I've got so much on my mind. Now is not the time. Oh, look at you. Here you go again. You're being sensitive. You're being too emotional. Or my favorite, you know what? I speak to other people about this, and they say that you're just unhinged. Well, if I can't discuss my relationship with the person I'm in a relationship with, how the hell are you discussing this relationship with someone else? You have time to do it with them, but yet and still you won't sit here and help me fix this. Clue number one. So as you go down this trip down memory lane, how much did they put in to make the relationship work? See, this is the radical acceptance. This is the truth that I speak about. This is the thing that you have to admit to yourself. Because what you're trying to save is working out perfectly for the narcissist. You being confused is working out perfectly for the narcissist. You not understanding where the person that you met has gone to and disappeared is working out perfectly for the narcissist. It's exactly where they need you. Thank you, One Way, for joining and being a long time watcher. And you're right, Mina, they don't care. They don't care. They only care about themselves. And Devon says exactly, they got time to run the endless smear campaign. Well, they always have time to protect the mass. They don't have time for you. They're letting you know. They're placing the line in the sand. My mask, how others view me, is not important. What's important is that I destroy you. People don't understand. With the narcissist being the flip side of the empath, literally, go look this up. I'm not going to explain it. Maybe later I will, because I explain it like every live. With the narcissist being the flip side of the empath, they understand that we're looking for something. And they use that, they weaponize that. They understand that we love hard, we love deeply, we care. They understand that, and they're going to weaponize that. So, yes, we have to understand that we have been dealing literally. I can't think of a better thing to call it than a demon. You know, I can't call it a parasite because usually, you know, for most parasites they're tiny, or what do you call it? You know, for viruses you got to look through a microscope. You know, but you've got this any place from 4'2" to 6'8" person standing in front of you, and they are literally a demon. And their only goal, and we start to realize this near the end, is to destroy you. And why do they want to destroy you? How can another person have so much hate within them? So much hate that they hate the person that says that they love them. That's a whole nother level for me. And Bentley says, thank you for joining, by the way. I can totally relate. And yes, they don't care. No, they don't. They don't. And Janine Cherry, too, thank you for joining. I appreciate you. You know, I'm going to tell you guys what radical acceptance means is there comes this point where you have to admit to yourself, and as always, I'm not here to mess up anybody's relationship. That's why, let me put this back up. I'm going to put up my services, which will have my email. Okay. And I will send you the Trauma Bond self-check resource completely free. Just send me an email after I get off of this live. Anybody that requests this, they will get it. If you're watching on YT or FB, just put it in the comments. The comments will stick. So thereby I will see it. And we got people in here. Yeah, so hold on, let me just do that. Yeah, so if you put that there, I'll definitely send you the resource completely free. Okay. The hate needs to go somewhere, maybe. So they aim it as well, yes, they do. They aim it at the people that love them. For some strange reason, they get the sick satisfaction from that. That if you were here when we were going over the DSM-5, it plays off of three things: lack of empathy, because they know that they're hurting you, they just don't care. Okay, they literally know. Never let anyone ever tell you that a narcissist does not know and understand the pain that they are inflicting upon you? They know. Okay. And it's always directed at the ones that love them, the ones that will do anything for them, the ones who just want to help them. It's part of their disorder. And many people, we get to this stage where as empaths, most of our life we are the fixers. Our friends have a problem. Not only do they come to us, we actually try to actually fix their problems. Even though we might be going through something, we're going to put our problems, our situation on the back burner and be there for the people that we care about. Remember when I said the narcissist is the flip side of us? They know this. They are literally sitting on a ladder, looking down at you, jump through hoops, trying to fix a relationship that they are intentionally breaking. It's not me talking. This is research. See, that's the problem with it. As far as I'm concerned, that's part of the problem. You gain all of this knowledge, and if you've just come out of the fog, I'm going to tell you that's the first thing you're going to do. That is the first thing you're going to do. You're going to try to figure this out. You will be on TikTok, YT, FB, wherever. You will be binge watching stuff. You will be looking, you're like, oh, I heard of Dr. Armani. Let me see what the heck she's talking about. Maybe she can make sense of this. But what happens is there comes a point where even you have to admit it doesn't make sense, because how can your higher power of the universe put something this evil, this disgustingly, horrifically evil on this planet with the rest of us? Why? So it stops making sense. And then you get to the point where, and I've done this, where you say to yourself, well, mental health professionals, sickness, disorder, disease, whatever, usually there's a cure out there someplace. There's somebody in Switzerland in a lab coat that figured this out. Let me ask you guys a question. When was the last time you was on social media and you saw someone say that they were no longer a narcissist, that they're healed? Not self-aware, there's a difference. Understand that there's literally a difference. Self-aware, by the very definition, means I am aware that I'm a narcissist. That's it. No more. There is no one. I think they would be a millionaire overnight if someone came on and said, I was a narcissist, I am truly cured, I've got paperwork from all of these universities and all these doctors saying that I'm cured, and let me show you the way. Not only would people that are in the narcissistic family dynamic run and give them whatever they ask for, okay, the black sheep of the family, but us as survivors would be like, oh, we can get that person back that we met in the beginning. So that person would become a trillionaire overnight, because that's how deep the rabbit hole goes. Because we don't want to admit that we have finally met in our life the one thing, the one instance where there's nothing that we can do to fix this. That's a scary thought for an empath. Thank you so much for the likes, and thank you, Kimberly, for joining. I appreciate you. That is a scary thought. I mean, we look at all the things that we've gone through. I mean, back in 2019, we're always in hope that there's going to be a fix out there. Somebody's going to figure out a cure. But then, thank you, Lady Love, for reaching out to me. Like I said, everything, free resources. Use that, the email icon. Send me an email, and I will send you the free resource, the Trauma Bond Self-Check resource, to help you figure out. And that's all it's there for. It's to help people figure out if they're in a narcissistic dynamic. One of the things that I often say on all my lives is, I'm not trying to mess up nobody's relationship. I'm not bitter Bob. I'm not. I'm actually happy. I'm not bitter Bob. I'm not trying to screw up somebody's life, Because let's be honest. Relationships by default are not perfect. They're not. You're going to have a disagreement here and there. You're going to maybe have an argument here and there. You're probably going to be salty at each other for a little while here and there. The difference between that is because if it's a fulfilling relationship, somebody's going to break and they're going to say, let's fix this. And then you're going to both sit down and you're going to come to that middle point where you say, okay, now we can move forward. Now we can move forward. Now with the narcissist is going to avoid speaking about the problem because at the end of the day, they caused the problem. They know they causing the chaos. That's part of their disorder. They live off of chaos. They get bored. They're like little kids. I got nothing to do. Let me start an argument. Shit. It's not even Monday yet. I need something to do. Oh, let me frick with their nerves. The person that actually cares about me. They have no choice. Mina's. Oh, you guys are going back and forth. All right, cool, cool. You know, and Divine says exactly, which makes them more dangerous. Yes. Yes. If you're in the jungle walking around and you see a panther or a cobra or a rattlesnake or whatever animal that can probably do you a lot of harm, you know, you're going to look at it and you're going to say, oh my God, let me get out of here. I'm in danger. Now, what if there are so many different types and species of animals that like they hide? And sometimes they hide in plain sight. I mean, like you'll look at a lion, they'll go find some like weeds and stuff the same color, and they'll hide in that and wait for you to walk by. That's what the narcissist does. You don't have that warning. It's not like you're looking over the plane and saying, "Oh man, there goes a lion. Let me get back in this Jeep and get out of here." You don't get that with the narcissist. What you're going to get is someone who is hiding in the bushes, waiting to attack you, waiting to destroy you, waiting to end you. And I mean that literally, to end you. Once a narcissist realizes they are dealing with an empath, their now number one main focus in life is to drain you, break you, and destroy you. Again, we go back to what I said earlier. This is spiritual warfare. And here's the thing. This is why I offer this stuff, like the Trauma Bond self-check resource, you know, free audio books, courses, consultations, because I realized something. The narcissist was prepared, but the empath is never prepared. There's nothing that we do growing up to protect us from this. We don't get a radar warning. In fact, the only time that we become safe from further or future narcissistic attacks is once we heal. And literally, until you heal, you stand, like I said, I've been in 3 of them. Until you heal, you are just another, it's like you're on the Serengeti, you got away from that line, you sit there, then you look over your shoulder, you're like, oh my God, here comes another one. That's what happens. You are the light. Again, spiritual warfare, you are the light. And they have this crazy thing where once they see your light, they say, okay, I gotta destroy this one too. This is going to keep the shame. Remember, narcissism is always a shame-based disorder. I've got to keep this shame down. I've got to keep it down. I can't do this. So they go find an empath. Never mistake an empath for intermittent supply. That person that validates them. That person that makes them feel, oh, I am superior. Their main goal is to go find another empath as soon as humanly possible so they can string this issue along for another few years and they can keep their shame down for another few years. Divine says, I don't think anyone normal is prepared for someone to do us so wrong out here. Yeah, that's what I just said. I don't think, I mean, I wish I would have got the blueprint. You have to remember, the narcissist has been practicing this dark art from a very early age. From manipulating teachers and shopkeepers all the way up to destroying impact. Constantly taking notes. They're constantly studying this because their very survival depends on it. Their very survival depends on it. There's nothing authentic inside of a narcissist. They can't switch gears, and they can't reflect. This is not me. This is research. They don't have it in them, so they can't become a better person. In order to become a better person, you have to you have to take accountability. Anybody that's going through this issue knows and understands that a narcissist will never take accountability. They would rather blame the butterfly outside for the reason why well, you've heard about if a butterfly flaps its wings uh, across the world, it can start a hurricane. The butterfly started this fire. Well, why are the matches still in your hand? They're never going to take accountability. Growth. The very idea of growth is taking accountability for oneself. It's the ability to reflect. When you make a change, it's right. So is Wante, what's up? When you make the conscious decision, let's just take the workspace, for instance. Once you make that conscious decision that whatever job role you're fulfilling right now, that you deserve better, you start thinking about it. You start saying, you know what? Okay, I could learn something else to make myself. See, that's how growth begins. The narcissist isn't going to do that. They're not. Wicked Gypsy, thank you for joining, by the way. I am struggling, left him 2 months ago, 16 years together. The last 6 years were brutal, many discards. That means that you continue to go back, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. And please go. I'm going to put it back up again. Get that free resource for me, completely free. Just send me an email. Put clarity um, inside the subject, and after this live, I'm going to send everybody out this how to figure out. The reason why is because you are literally in the trauma bond. Okay, I'm going to be completely honest with you. You're in the trauma bond. The trauma bond is literally, again, like I said, these demons are evil. See, they can't, this is why it never felt after the love bombing stage like a sensible relationship. Through intermittent reinforcement, they have literally been bonding you to them. So when they leave, what happens is you've been used to this crazy roller coaster of ups and downs, and you're sitting up there and you're trying to decipher your emotions while you're trying to regulate their emotions. You're walking on eggshells, literally chaos. So what happens is after you leave, guess what feels foreign, strange, and dangerous? Peace. Your nervous system has been trained to accept the chaos. And the reason why you accept the chaos is because of the intermittent reinforcement. We literally become addicted to this person on a a physical level. Okay. The reason why we get caught up in this is because what happens is the narcissist goes and they make you feel like crap, maybe for a whole week. They're not talking to you, they're ignoring you. Everything is, they're going to try to devalue you, they're going to try to disrespect you. They're doing all this stuff for like a whole week. I'm just putting this out there. The time depends on where they have you mentally in this dynamic. And then just when you're at your wits' end, they come over and they give you a hug. And they say, we haven't talked in a while, even though they're the ones that stopped talking to you. Let's go out, let's go get something for lunch, or they start future faking you, saying, yeah, I'm really under a lot of stress, and they say things like, you know what, just give me some time and I'm going to come back to the person that you need. And literally they're telling on themselves, I'm going to transform myself into what I think you need to keep you hanging on a little bit longer. So after you leave, you miss the chaos. And your nervous system is saying, hey, listen, there's probably another dopamine rush if you call that person back. Or you pick up their messages because you've been trying hard. You're going no contact. You don't want to deal with this person. You don't want to see them in person. You're ducking flying monkeys. You definitely know what they're saying about you. You don't want to deal with this person. But your phone rings and then your heart starts pounding. You're like, could that be them? Because you're thinking maybe they understand now that they hurt me. Maybe they want the relationship that I always wanted. Maybe they really are willing to change. And then you go back. I'm going to tell you something, and I'm quite sure you can speak to this. Going back, thank you, Sansan, for the likes, and thank you for joining. Going back is the worst thing that you can do. I am not saying it's going to be easy to not go back. I'm just telling you it's the worst thing that you can do. Because again, this is research, not me. Once you decide to go back to a narcissist, you have actually signed another contract. You are saying, I accept the way you treated me the first time. I accept the fact that, hey, listen, you did this to hurt me. And you know what? At this stage, I want more of it. That is exactly what goes through the narcissist's mind. So I try to tell people it's only going to get worse, and you can attest to this. It's only going to get worse. So yes, if you find that pull, this is why you need. It's a pattern. You've been introduced to a pattern. It's called intermittent reinforcement. But at the end of the day, it's still a pattern. And what can we do? What can we do with patterns? If necessary, we can break them. And that's why I do all of this stuff to show people that it's not impossible to break the pattern. And Wicked Gypsy says, I will never go back. He knows this. He won't contact me again. His ego would never allow it. Well, congratulations. But there are so many empaths that need to get to that stage, the stage of radical acceptance. Because once you, like me, put the demon emoji in your head every time you think about them, or every time you hear them, or in those circumstances where you have to be face to face with them, that means that you've accepted that this person never meant you well. They never meant the relationship well. All they wanted to do was to control you, to control your emotions, to regulate their own. Do you know that they say that the emotional capacity of most narcissists is that of a 3 to 5 year old? 3 to 5 years old. That's their emotional intelligence. Does anybody have children and try to get a point across and the child is trying to prove their point, as if it's common sense, like you should know better as the parent, and you're trying to keep you cool because this is a teaching moment. You're trying to keep you cool, and you're allowing the back and forth, because you want them to understand on their own what they did is wrong, or what they didn't make any sense. Didn't that feel like many of the conversations that you had with your partner, the narcissist? Think about that for a second. While I take a drink of coffee, y'all just run that through your head. Hey, Mighty E, thank you for joining. I appreciate you. Yeah, think. Hey, Dino, what's up? What's up, Dino? Wicked Gypsy took me almost losing my spirit to make this decision. I am broken but healing in mental chaos. Yes, I tell people, Wante. Here's the deal, guys. Here is the deal. The thing that holds most, and let me put this up again because somebody's going to need this free resource. I know this. Do you know what the hardest part is and what is the first step in healing? Does anybody know what the first step in healing? Once you have defined, I'm not even saying you went to a mental health professional and have them diagnosed, because 9 times out of 10 that doesn't work. But you've done the legwork. You've got a copy of DSM-5 as you're going through your day. You've got it on your phone. Maybe you've got my course with the custom GPT, and you're sitting up there, you're putting in conversations, and you're getting feedback. And you're saying, okay, there's no doubt about it. This person is not just a toxic individual. This is not a stressed out individual. I'm dealing with a narcissist. Once you figure that out, you would think it would be easy. Especially all the information that you've been taking in. You would think that it would be easy, but it's not. Because you know what's making it hard? The version of them that you met in the beginning that you want back. You become stubborn about this. Because what they presented to you, so you figured out that they're fake, but you refuse to accept the fact that what happened in the beginning was the greatest Broadway play ever. And when you decipher it, you see that it was. You see the mirroring, you see the data mining, you see the, saying just what you needed to hear. You see the using your goals and your dreams as something to make you feel connected. Every narcissist I had never had a freaking dream. Never had a real dream that was not something that they saw somebody else do or that they actually added to the puzzle in their head of what they saw or learned from another person. Never. But they're going to talk you to death because that's what you needed. That's what you needed at that time of your life. And you're going out of your way now. You're saying, yeah, the person, they caused these arguments on purpose, and they started all this chaos, and they triangulated me against all these people, and they isolated me. But the person that I met in the beginning, I'm not going to jump into that pool right now. Because that's what we're constantly chasing. That's what we're chasing throughout the relationship. The person that we met, the demon, the fake persona that we met in the beginning, that becomes our driving force. We got to get them back. Because look at all the promise and the potential that they showed. Now you looking at your promise and your potential. So yeah, you have to. Let me put this up again because I want you guys. This is free. All you got to do is hit that little email icon, and I will send it to you right after this live. This is free. We're going to do this. Yes, I could be here selling courses all freaking day. That's what TikTok wants me to do, but I'm not here to do that today. I'm here to try to find a way. Again, goal orientated. I'm trying to find a way. Hey, what's up, Monique? Latia, we meet the representative. They're some of the greatest actors. They are. They are. They are the greatest actors. And we have to remember, and thank you for joining, we have to remember we're already at, and Latia, I need people to understand this, we're already at a disadvantage. Depending on your age and your age preference for dating, look how much time, remember, narcissists are formed at an early age. How much time have they had to practice this? Again, they intentionally know what they're doing. How much time have they had to practice this? Hey, Wante, just send me an email. You should see the email icon, and I'll send you the Trauma Bond self-check resource. It's free. It's free. And you know what? Let me tell you something, Latia, and everybody there. Oh, thank you for the Go Popular. I appreciate you. Thank you, Divine. You are awesome. Let me say something right here, so that everybody. I need everybody to truly understand this. You didn't fall in love with another person. You fell in love with yourself. And please put it in the comments if you don't understand what I'm saying, and I will break it down for you using statistics, using facts, using research. You were manipulated from the beginning. They knew from the very beginning what they were going to do to you. Once they smelt the empath on you, it's like gym funk to them. They're like, ooh, empath. Now I got something to do today. Now I've got something to do today. The narcissists from the very beginning, they knew there was an expiration. You didn't know. You don't get this guidebook. You don't get the devil's handbook as an empath. You want to go out there and help people. Hey, Amanda, what's up? Lisa, thank you for joining. Thank you for the repost. Oh, my God. As empaths, we go around, we try to be there for our friends. We try to be there for our family, even though our family is the one that turned us into empaths because they 9 times out of 10 inflicted trauma on us that we're still trying to deal with. We're trying to help people. We're the teachers of this society. We are the ones that want to see the best in everyone. And that is our course. The narcissists, they literally get the book of the day. They act, and I'm not talking about the one from William Budge about the Egyptians. I'm talking about that book. The book with the skin on top of it. That's what they get. They get this blueprint on how to manipulate people. They get this blueprint on how to hurt people, but more specifically, and this is why I will always call it spiritual warfare, more specifically, they get this blueprint on how to destroy empaths. So we were unprepared. It was literally like the first day of Vietnam. I mean, you're the first one out the plane, and you've got no commanding officer, and they just throw down the rifle and say, go ahead. Hey, Wicked Gypsy, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm glad that you came through. T Real Light, what's up? I see you. And talking about seeing, can I ask you a question? After the love bombing, did you really literally felt seen in that relationship? See, these are the warning signs. I wasn't there, but I can guarantee that I'm hitting things right on the nose. I can guarantee that I'm hitting it right on the nose. You weren't seen after the love bombing stage. There was no reason to see you. The plan started. You entered into a relationship like me. I called myself a big fat dummy when I first came out for even saying it. Baby, we're going to be together for forever in 2 days. We're going to take over the universe. Big fat dummy. I didn't know there was an expiration date on their end. They're like, yeah, forever in 2 days. You think. Who enters into a relationship after the age of 25? How many of us enter into relationships saying this is just something to pass the time? Look at all the energy that we put into these things. The narcissists, they could be 50 years old. This is just to pass the time. Because by my calculations and the way they're acting, they got maybe 2 years tops. Think about that. What rational human being on this planet does that? Help me out here, because I can't figure it out. Yes, it is crazy work. It is crazy work, TPLA. And we have to, again, that's why the first step is so hard, because all the things that everybody's agreeing with, if you're still stuck in the trauma bond, that tells me one thing. Radical acceptance hasn't kicked in all the way yet. There's still a little spider web in your soul that has hope. Divine says, well, they for the streets, they are serious. They are for the streets. And during the monkey branching stage, they definitely are for the streets. MB1327, thank you for joining. And says, so sad. I believed it was forever. And that's exactly what they needed you to believe. They needed you. Again, we're dealing with a predator. We're not dealing with another human being. We're dealing with a demon. We're dealing with a virus. We're not dealing with a functional, I'm not even going to say empath, just a functional, regular human being. We're not dealing with that. Look at the term. Narcissistic, that's what they are. Personality, that's what it affects. Disorder. Not sickness, not the flu, not disease, disorder. See, we look at this term sometimes and we say to ourselves, well, there's got to be a way out. Again, let me ask you again. When have you seen on the whole interwebs of a really cured narcissist? Please send me to their page. Send me to their socials. When have you seen it? I'm going to say the internet has literally been around since 1970 something, but for the rest of us, I don't think we got hit to it till around Windows 95. That's when we started, computers became, we didn't have the DOS thing or daisy wheel printers anymore. We actually, We actually started using the internet then. So since 1995, I spent a lot of time on the internet. Never come across, someone that has, with mental health professionals said, yeah, they were narcissists, but they're cured. Huh, look at that. Look at that. No, it's not happening. It's not happening. You're the only one that thinks that your partner is curable. Your partner even knows that they're not curable because physiology changes something inside of them once they sign that contract to be a demon. I'm just saying that, but literally that's what it is to me. Once they sign that contract to be a demon, things in their body, in their brain, start to change. More specifically, the part that controls empathy in most human beings, it literally begins to shrink. That's what I'm telling you, dealing with a demon. This is spiritual warfare. This is part of what happens to them. The thing that, that people, that they use to lie and manipulate people and stuff like that, that it takes from the empathy and says, I need to grow this. This is what I need to survive. Their very physiology changes to accept the fact that they're going to be a demon for the rest of their life. Isn't that crazy? Wante says, yes, you can't cure them. The Rochelux, I hope I said that right. Thank you for joining. I was married to one for 10 years. He creates cycles of love bombing and situational sabotage. Yeah, we're going to get to that. Wicked Gypsy says, I think they believe in the moment they want forever, then switch flips when they get uncomfortable. Well, Wicked Gypsy, in a sense, you are right. And let me explain this, and this is due to research. You're completely right. Every time they run into an empath, there is a microsecond in their brain, and you can look it up. It's research. It's black and white. There comes, oh, Najesh, thank you so much for the rose. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. There is a micro moment. I like to call it plank time, where as they're speaking to you before the plan kicks in, they literally think you're the one that is going to fix them. Remember, the narcissist knows what they're doing at all times for a plank time. Okay, that's like a billionth of a billionth of a billionth of a second. And then a couple of things go through their brain in that small amount of time. Well, it hits against their superiority complex. Well, how can I be superior to this person if I need them to help me? So that just shoots that down, and then they go hard with the love bombing. Okay, the narcissist literally in the very beginning feels that you're the one that's going to save them, and then they talk themselves out of it, and then they hate you. They hate you for the fact that they know that you're a good person, and they hate that. They know what they're about to do, and in their mind, it's your fault for being an empath, for being someone who made them stop for a second. It's almost like that scene in Hellraiser 2 where Pinhead like looks at the thing and says, and to think I almost hesitated. That's what goes through the narcissist's head. To think I almost hesitated. Because this has been the plan their whole life. But thank you for putting that up there. I appreciate you for that, Wicked Gypsy. Yes, you're right, Wante. You can't cure them. You can't. And stop thinking that you can. I went through that stage. Let me be transparent. I went through that stage. Like all of you, as you being empaths, there's one thing about empaths. We're intelligent as hell. This is how we figure stuff out. We 9 times out of 10, we don't need help to figure stuff out. We just sit down and we figure it out. I spent a little bit of time figuring that I could find a cure for them. Again, not letting go of that little spider web of hope and potential. I did. I did the research, a lot of the research that went into, by the time I finalized No More Chains, how to spot, stop, and survive narcissistic abuse. A lot of that was the research that I did to create that book was because I was trying to find a cure. And then I had to have the radical acceptance. I was like, you can't fix this. I need to start thinking about myself at this stage, because they made it clear they were going to destroy me. They made it very clear. I'll never forget the last thing. In fact, they didn't know that they were on camera, and after they left, the person at the front desk was like, we've got this on camera. If you ever need a copy for court or anything, and I'm like, no, I'm good. Because it was the first time that I refused to react. It was the first time, completely went gray rock. It was my first time walking into the gray rock arena, and I just refused. I refused, and they raged out because at this stage they knew that I knew. There was no doubt about it. They knew that I knew, and I think they sensed that he's probably not coming back. I still went through trauma bond. I don't want you to think that that was all it took. I still went through the trauma bond. But before that, my goal was to try to fix them. And we do it for such the most selfish of reasons. Why? We want the person back that we met in the beginning. Nothing more, nothing less. At this stage, we're not trying to make the world a better place. At this stage, we're not trying to even make them a better person. We're just trying to get the person that we met in the beginning. And that's how deep the trauma bond goes. And thank you for the follows, guys. I appreciate you. And Resilient Mama, too, thank you for joining. I appreciate you. And Professional Ma, thank you for joining. Yeah, Narcastic says wishful thinking. Thank you for joining, Narcastic. Callum, thank you for joining us. I wonder the exact same thing. It's so many nowadays. Yeah, I think we've reached, and I'm air hustling you guys conversation. And I like the fact that you guys are. I like the fact that you guys are interacting with each other. I think that's the impasse way, and I think we need to do that more often. I think and I'm not just talking about social media likes and stuff like that. We can kind of sense each other, just like in lives like this. We can kind of sense that we've gone through this, even though we're separate, but we kind of can bond around this to help each other heal. And I love that. Let me see 1 second. I'm just going through these messages. Hey, what's up? Truth White, thank you. Ruth White, rather, thank you. T Pure Light, we have to stop holding on to a false image that wasn't real. That's the hardest pill to swallow. I don't think that there is anything that we're going to come across, and this is why this is spiritual warfare. This is our higher power ensuring that we're ready for the battle ahead. And so you guys talking about how this is overboard right now as far as narcissists. We like to think, that we're dismantling the mask, but yeah, we're reaching those times where narcissists are all over the place. Every time you turn around, there's a narcissist. We've got them, and they're hiding in plain sight. We're starting to see narcissistic tendencies from people at work. In school, we're starting to see narcissistic tendencies. In our places of worship, we're seeing narcissistic tendencies. So yeah, it's this is why I call it spiritual warfare, because we're reaching this point where, as I always see, when we reach points like this in history, guess who's going to come in and save the day? The empaths. It's always the empaths. It's always the ones that tend to bring, the sensibility to the conversation, that bring common sense to the conversation, that bring a solution to the conversation. That's the thing. Like I say, the now movement, what does that stand for? No other way but forward. At the end of the day, that's what it stands for. So when we look at, I think you guys in here talking about the mirroring, because I came across the word, just eye hustling here. I came across the word performative. Do you know that that's a salesman's technique? It's literally called mirroring. You'll find this a lot with mid to high ticket items. Salesmen will do this thing where they'll stand in front of you, they'll pose like you, They'll actually sync their breathing with you. They'll start throwing in your phrases. Really good salesmen will keep the red flag down by not triggering you saying, wait, they're mirroring me. They're trying to trick me. So really good salesmen can do conversation is going. Um, but mirroring does something. The red flags, your defenses that usually pop up, they're subdued. Okay, and the reason why they're subdued is because look at the word mirror. You're looking at yourself. At what point do you raise a red flag for yourself? The narcissist has mastered this. Again, if they weren't demons, they would be great for the CIA. They would be great for any intelligence agency. They would be great freaking salesmen. But they're more concerned with selling an empath a fantasy so that they can destroy them. So mirroring is a very, very important part. Coco J, what's up? Of the Love Bar. And Toro G just got up in here. It's a very important aspect of what they do in the beginning. The phrases, sometimes walking like you. Now your favorite color is their favorite color. I often say this, it's like people after the age of 30, you have your go-to thing when you go to the tavern. Um, and then, if you meet them, you take them, they have their go-to thing. Now all of a sudden it's like, no, get two of those. I didn't even know you like my go-to thing. Because it's mirroring to keep that red flag from popping up and saying, danger, Will Robinson, danger, danger, danger. And like I said, unlike them, we don't get we we don't get a playbook to protect us. And the more I think about it, I think it's done for a reason because when we talked about yesterday, your higher power gives its strongest battles to its strongest warriors, to its most powerful warriors. And I'm going to tell you, once you heal from this, I'm not trying to be conceited, but you feel powerful as hell. You do. You feel like you could cross oceans, walk up mountains. You could do whatever you wanted to do if you got through this. Once you heal. So yeah, I think if we look at it as spiritual warfare, there's got to be a purpose for it. The world that we live in, this reality has reached an imbalance. And it's really not about politics. It's just the way the world is going. When you look at it, are you happy with it? If you have children, do you think it's going to be good for them when they grow up? See, narcissists don't think like this. We do. We care. The narcissist doesn't even care about their own children, much less the world on a whole. So yeah, let me put this back up because I need you guys. Again, it's free. Just send me an email. You'll see the email where it says contact creator or whatever the hell it says. Send me an email. You don't even have to put a lot. Just put the word clarity in the subject line. That will let me know that's what you want. And I will definitely send you the trauma bond self check. Okay, it's going to help people get through the fog. It's going to help people get clarity. It's today is not really about the courses. I think many of us need to take baby steps. I needed to take baby steps at the beginning. So I'm not trying to point my finger at anybody. Does not have a price for the clarity session. Go ahead and send me a message. It's literally, wait, it does have a price. Oh, I can't see it right now. But yeah, it does have a price. But they're 45. And Narcastic told me that I was the cheapest one on TikTok. But I'm not trying to bleed anybody. I'm just trying to help. That's all I'm trying to do. So is that group or no, that's one-on-one, Divine. That is definitely one-on-one. You can pick Zoom, Google Meet, or even phone. It's completely up to you, whatever your comfort level is. Um, I just want to, at the very least, I'm going to tell you though, I'm always going to give a solution. I'm always going to give a solution. Um, and we're going to come to that solution together. And I tend to lead people with exercises to do. Like I sometimes I'll start people that are having a hard time with no contact. I will start them off with, okay, let's just try 48 hours. And then once you get past that 48 hours, jump it up to 72. And then usually after the 72, it takes most people, it takes people 3 days to break most habits or to get over the withdrawal of leaving most habits alone. Um, I think if you do 5 days, I think you're good. But then I had to double back because I understood that there's situations where you can't just go no contact. And that's kind of a bummer because, when you're learning how to regain your identity, as many creators say, you got to go no contact. That's a no brainer. You got to do that. That's a non negotiable. You got to go no contact. And that led me to create a course because yeah, I wanted to go no contact, but I got kids. I got kids. I can't go no contact. And I'm sitting up there saying, oh my goodness, I am screwed. I am literally screwed. And once again, had to figure it out. And I came across this thing and I taught it to myself, controlled access. And it works. It keeps my peace. I am no longer reactive. And that's what I need people to learn because the narcissist, due to them programming you, would love for you to think that there is no way out, because that keeps you in goldfish mode. That keeps you as their pet. So yeah, they want you to they need to feel that they're still in control. This is one of the things where it's a two-way street. They need to feel that you're still emotionally attached to them. Um, Even though during the discard they're making it clear that they don't want you. Well, they kind of do want you, but just not the way that you think that they want you. They need to still feel that they are in control of the narrative in the situation. They are still in control of your emotions. And not to segue, but that's why I tell people stop seeking revenge. All you're doing is you're giving them exactly what they want. That's exactly what they want from you. They want you to feel like you need to get payback on them. That's an emotion. And it's an emotion, again, you're dealing with a 5-year-old. What does a 5-year-old know about revenge? I'm going to get Bobby back. I'm going to get Sheila back. And, they're not going to sit there and plan out something. You're not. And the narcissist is looking at it as you're still emotionally invested in them. So therefore, they're still in control of the narrative. And Wante, you hit it right now. They need your supply, and that's it. You're right. You're correct. That's what they need. They need your supply. And that's why it's important. Like I said, guys, this is free. Divine, thank you so much for the Go Popular. I appreciate you. This is free. The Trauma Bond self-check resource is completely free. I'm not here selling you a course. If you want to get a course, I ain't gonna stop you. If you want to get the system, I ain't gonna stop you. But this is free. Sometimes we need to take baby steps. Sometimes we need to take baby steps. And like I said, I've been there. I was walking like this. And what are baby steps like? You take baby steps because you don't want to fall. In our case, we don't want to go back. Because even though if you do go back, and I'm not pointing fingers at anyone, but if we do go back, we're actually going back for those empath type reasons. We have hope that this person is getting better. This person understands. And I don't know why we think that, especially when the narcissist is going out their way to show you that they found somebody else within 48 hours. For most of us, this is why I'm telling you, this is like a psychological mind screw. Because for most people, if you look at your past relationships, if they would have did that, be like, you know what? You don't have to worry. I'm never talking to you again. Because what you're basically telling me is you was playing in my face the whole time. You don't have to worry about us even knowing each other anymore. But with this demon, we still think there's hope. We still think that, how do you go from being in a relationship for 10, 20, 30 years and it doesn't matter what reason it goes sideways. It went sideways. You bounce back in 48 hours? How does that work? Yes, Devon is right. It's easy for them to find someone they abandon the kids with us. Yes. Well, you're everything is a tool. Again, they're not a person. Look at it, everything as being a tool, and it'll be easier to understand. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. If you look at how the narcissist looks at the world, and instead of saying, person, 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 object, thing, person, 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 just look at it as object, thing, object, thing, object, thing, object, because literally that's how they view the world. Everything has a purpose, okay, and if it doesn't have a purpose, it just becomes a thing. So all the way around, and you can't get too deep into it because that sends you back into that revenge dynamic. You're trying to. A lot of people think that winning is beating them at the game. That's not winning. Winning is pushing the game away and refusing to play. That is when you win. You refuse to play, and that's why I need empaths to get back to being their greater self. We get trapped in playing this game with the narcissist, and the game is rigged. It is. It's been rigged for a while. After the love bombing stage, the game was definitely rigged. Like I said, we didn't get the rule book, much less the rules. We didn't get a guide on how to play, and that's why I hate revenge content. I never question what any creator does, but that's why I hate revenge content, because I'm like, how is that solving the problem? How is that helping the empath feel? How is that helping the empath heal? We have to start looking at where we're placing our energy, because we paid no attention whatsoever while we were with that narcissist, because all we did was give, 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 give. That's all we did. And we gave ourselves absolutely nothing. Why would you find yourself on potentially almost free, almost with them out of your mind? Why would you give them even a little bit of energy back? See, those are the things that you have to ask yourself. And Tara Sheehan, hey Tara, thank you for joining. I just left my fearful, dismissive, avoidant after 20 years. Congratulations. Congratulations. Make sure you get my guide. Like I said, I'm not trying to be Dan Downer, but if it's been 20 years, you're not going to heal overnight. It's free. Just send me an email with the word clarity in the subject, and after I get this live, I'll start sending these out. It's completely free. The trauma bond, again, like I said, when I was free, I really thought that this is sad. I'm Gucci. No, no. I remember those times where I would get the ghost buzz in my pants and be like, they finally understand. They finally understand what the hell is going on. And they don't. They don't. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'll send that to you, Tara. Hey, wishing you much peace on your journey. You deserve it. You definitely deserve it. And Wicked Gypsy, 16 years for me to say, oh, thank you, Wicked Gypsy. Is it, you know what? Is it, and that's the impact in us. See, you're proving, you guys literally are proving what I always say. All we want to do is be of assistance. All we want to do is love and be loved. And the narcissist uses that against us. There's not a narcissist group where they're saying, hey, listen, reach out to me. I hope we get through this. They don't do that. They don't. All they care about is themselves. When we start thinking about things like, are they going to get their karma? The universe balances itself. It doesn't need your input. The universe has been doing this before you were even thought of. It always finds balance. Leave it to the universe. Karma has worked the same way before grass was getting cut. Before grass was probably even growing. It's one of the basic laws of the universe. Let karma do what karma does. You worry about healing. You worry about getting back to being yourself. Stop worrying about what the narcissist is doing. What difference does it matter? They hurt you. Why do you even care? Go back to healing. You've got to use. I guess the easiest word to use is alchemy. You've got to turn this pain into power. That's what you're built for. As an empath, if you're built for anything, and you guys got to agree with me, you're built for turning pain into power. Do it now. This is where it matters the most. Because until all of you guys get ready, get in formation, get in line, and get out there and help this world heal, it's not going to heal itself. That's why narcissism is on an upswing. That's why everybody's talking about it. That's why everybody's like, oh my God, I've been with this person for 20 years. Their masks are all starting to crack across the world because we have entered into the stage where we are needed to bring balance back. And the only way we can do it is if we're in our right head, in our right mind, doing what it is that we were put here to do. Why do they always seem to find someone in days? Because, come, listen, Wicked. This is what I mean about letting go of the ghost. Do you not think this person, when you look in hindsight, do you think this person, mine's lost her engagement ring? I still can't figure that out. Well, I would trip off of broken earrings for years from years ago, but they lost their engagement ring. And I want to get to that, Manda. Um, so yeah, so they have, again, you're thinking on a regular, not even empath, but human being level. Who does that? And that's why it's so hard to figure out. For them, it's just supply. Sometimes it's intermittent supply. Sometimes the discard happens because they found another empath and they figure that they're ready to go drain them. The cycle doesn't change. You're ahead of the curve. Don't worry about the new supply. That's their problem now, not yours. That is, especially if the new supply knows you, that's definitely your problem. Have at it. Have fun. You've got my broken boy, my broken toy. Enjoy it. Have fun. It's like you throw out that doll outside in the garbage and then you see somebody down the block playing with it. You don't want it back. You're like, go ahead, enjoy it. And this is an important question from Manda Gilrath Sullivan. Where do dark empaths fit in? They don't. They don't. A dark empath, by default, has empathy, which in my mind, due to my research, due to what I've seen that Carl Jung has written on the subject, dark empaths are literally the narcissist. They play the game. They have the potential to hurt the narcissist, but real empaths don't want to hurt people. Real empaths don't want to inflict pain on people. They sit at the same table with the narcissist. Their difference is the dark empath's difference is the narcissist feels that they are entitled to hurt people. The dark empath says, I was hurt, therefore, I should be able to hurt others. It's not really a good look in my eyes. And again, the energy waste, it's almost like I like astrophysics. It's like that those stars that just keep on revolving around each other until they just contract and just blow up. They become nothing. We probably never see it in our lifetime. It probably takes like millions of years for that to happen, but it's the same thing. I mean, in social media, they painted the dark empath as the superhero. I don't see them as a superhero. I don't. I mean, I see them as basically a vigilante, the Punisher. You can't make sense of it, but a lot of us, we say, hell, we need a vigilante. But that's against everything that we believe in. Dark empaths. When I see people, a super empath is different. A super empath is the person that is healed and no longer gets trapped in it and walks away from the narcissist. Okay, they walk away from the narcissist. They don't play the game. They don't do tit for tat. They're not being petty. Because the dark empath sees the narcissist for who they truly are. And sometimes they'll enter into a union with them, but as soon as the narcissist starts playing those games, oh, game on, buddy. Game the freak on. Let's see who can hurt who the most. Yeah, I'm not one. I'm not a fan of the dark empath. I know they exist. I know why they exist, but I choose to not look at them. And Brenda Brown says there's nothing dark about being an empath. Is all light. Well, I'm hoping that you're agreeing with me. I think that is the way. Is just to be an empath, maybe even a super empath. Continue to live in your purpose. Continue to be of assistance to others. You know. Abigail, why don't you go ahead and describe that? I've never heard of that, and then again, I don't know everything. So I've never ever heard of that, and I definitely know that you never talked about them. So if you can explain that for the rest of us, I would love that. I'm always here to learn. This is, you know what? Once you get to the point where you are free, there comes this point where I'll still watch videos and listen to audiobooks and stuff like that about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. Not for the same reasons in the beginning, but so that I can bring further insights using intuition to mirror emotions to spark healing and self-reflection. I think that's a super empath, in fact. But I might be wrong. But what I'm going to do is, like I said, since I don't know everything, I'm going to write this down and I'm going to deep dive. Thank you for sharing that with me. But I think, in a sense, that is the base level of like a super empath. I mean, those are those empaths that literally walk in and can read every emotion in the room. But Amanda, thank you for sharing that with me. I appreciate you. This is awesome. See, Minister Robinson just has the potential to learn something today. This is awesome. Yeah, so again, let me put this up one more time. Okay. Again, this is free, people. This is definitely free, and I'm going to send this out to people as soon as this live is over. So just give me some time. You know. But yeah, this is the deal. And I can't say this. Let me get some coffee because some people are going to hate me for this. Oh, thank you for the Go Popular. I love that. Thank you. Mm-mm. But to show them their face. I think Carl Jung spoke about that. I don't think he used that word. But again, Abigail, thank you for the information. I'm going to look it up. Next time you see me on live, I will try to be well versed in this. Despite him being an ass, I'm still doing my best not to hurt him and to help him. Yeesh. That's a tightrope right there. Um, and again, I say this with the utmost of respect, and I don't want to get involved with anybody's situation to the extent where I'm giving a diagnosis. But here's the deal. Um, Maybe it's time to detach. And this is what I mean by radical acceptance. Okay, despite him being an ass, this is what you started off with, Tar. Despite him being an ass, um, I'm still doing my best not to hurt him and to help him. Well, again, you love this person at one stage, and I'll never take that away from you. And that was facts. That was the truth. How they returned that love is completely on them. Um, as far as, and this is where radical acceptance comes in, you know how he treated you. You do. Um, I think the help should be basically directed at you. I do because from what little I know about this dynamic is that is supply. They still feel like you're orbiting them. They still feel like you care. I think the way that I would go, I'm not gonna say you, but the way I would go is I would detach. I understand that there are children involved, so I would definitely just go yellow rock, which is a technique where you just say what needs to be said about the subject at hand, where you're not pulled in to emotionally charged conversations, because you're going to feel a certain way the first time they try to draw you into an emotionally charged conversation, and you're going to feel like you're right back at square one. Um, Another thing that I would suggest is, it seems like there's a lot on your plate right now. Um, if you don't have one in place and you'd be willing to consider it, maybe see if you can get a therapist, because that's a lot to deal with. You feel that you were involved with a narcissist. They're 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 out of your life for the most part. Um, you still feel the need to help them, and they're going to be, and your children are going to be with them. That's really a lot to handle emotionally. It really is, and I think you need to prepare yourself for that. I missed a couple of things. Hey Matt, what's going on? Sugar Chick. Hey, thank you for joining. And Empress, New York City, thank you for joining. Called The Sacred Clown. It's an ingenious science sample, new power. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, Abigail, I'm definitely gonna look at that. Narcastic is going in and out because she's probably at the gym. Um, and thank you for the follow, Sugar Sugar. I appreciate that. Yes, therapists, you know what? I know in a lot of communities, going to see a therapist is kind of like taboo, or people speak, lowly upon it. But like I always tell people, if you even feel the need to talk to someone else and not have to guess that they're going to be non-judgmental, your therapist. A therapist is your best bet, especially if you're HMO. Your HMO will cover it without a heavy copay. Go for it. You know, and if not, you can actually call the crisis line, the nationwide crisis line. Believe it or not, it is not just for people that want to do this. It actually helps with DV. It helps with mental abuse, and they can, since it's a national hotline, they have all the resources for people in your community. We could just say, "Hey, listen, thank you for being here. I appreciate you, Wicked Gypsy. Thank you so much." You know. So yeah, 988. I always tell people, write this down on a sticky note, leave it on your desk or on your computer. If you feel that sometimes it helps. Sometimes it helps, And I always tell people this. That's why I say, go ahead and get this free thing that I'm giving out. This is why I always tell people, hey, if it hasn't been working what you've been trying, why not try something else? Because I know we do get to that point where we're saying to ourselves, this ish ain't working. I'm stuck. You know. So yeah, just go ahead and try different things. Try to learn a little bit more about this, more specifically about what you're feeling emotionally. Because narcissism, even though they follow the same patterns and the same demon playbook, I have to admit it's a little bit different because you're a unique individual. You're an empath. You're one of the chosen. So there's a special light. We all have light, but you got this really cool, authentic light that's meant just for you. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna send it to you. I got you. I got you. You know. So yeah, your light is unique. You're authentic. That's another thing they hate about you. You're freaking authentic. They hate that. Oh my God, they can't be authentic. So they look at you every day. They were like, who do you think you are? Being all authentic and stuff. Who do you think you are? So yeah, find out stuff. I tell people, get the DSM-5, get a printout. As you're going through the house. I actually do have in the system. I do have a personalized, customized GPT. It's not public. It's only for people that actually have the system, where you can insert text messages. You can insert emails into a copy and paste it, and it's just so much. And I'm not trying to put so much on your lap, but it is a lot to deal with, and you know it because you know how you feel emotionally. But again, we can discuss the problem until the cows come home, or we can start fixing it. You know, I'm going to vote that we fix it. We get back there to helping the world heal. You know what I'm saying? Um, if you happen, as I leave, understanding better has helped me see this as a gift, not the curse that it used to be. Oh, that's great, Abigail. Abigail, that is great. And hopefully all empaths will get to that stage. You got to remember, maybe if I go live, we'll talk about this later. You got to remember, we were formed from trauma too. We just made what I think is the better choice. Okay. With that being said, if you don't know me, okay, Mr. Robinson, I actually run a nonprofit in Jersey, the Church of Real Talk. Under that umbrella comes the Now Movement for trauma recovery and trauma healing. Now stands for no other way but forward. The mindset that I think all empaths need to have. There is no other way but forward. And I want you guys to stay powerful. I want you guys to keep healing. And the reason why I do what I do, love you guys. If you missed the link, just go to my page, send me a message. I'll try to get to everybody as soon as possible. All right. I am doing this multi-stream. All right. Love you guys. Have a great day. Enjoy this beautiful weather.